This is a Super Famicom or Japanese Super Nintendo game, and if you've ever gotten a hold of one of these, it doesn't fit in the Super Nintendo. This is a Game Genie for the Super Nintendo, and you would think you can just pop a game in it like a Super Famicom game, but it won't fit either. The reason the cartridges won't fit is because the US Super Nintendo has two tabs that prevent the cartridge from fitting in. The Game Genie, for some reason, also has these two tabs. Let's take this thing apart and let's fix it having those tabs that prevent the game cartridges from fitting in. You'll need a small Phillips head screwdriver and a pair of needle nose pliers. I'll also later be grabbing a razor knife. Also, I sand down where the tabs were with some really fine sandpaper. I believe it was 1000 grit. There are 4 screws in the back of this. These were actually in there really good. The last one didn't really want to come out for me either. Take the board out and put it somewhere semi-safe. The back piece is actually where you'll find the tabs. At first, I tried to just remove them with the needle nose pliers, and they wouldn't come out. This is weird because I've done this time and time again before, and I've never had this much trouble. No matter how I tried and tried, it just wouldn't come out. This is where I had to grab the razor knife. Fingers beware. Now, it definitely took some working, but I tried to cut as much into where the tab connects to the cartridge shell as possible, and then it actually came right out with the pliers. Overall, this is something that could be done a lot easier with a Dremel if you have one, or any other rotary tool that lets you grind and sand plastic down. It is important to clean up all the little pieces you leave lying around. Again, quite a bit of work here. And unfortunately, it's not the cleanest, best job I've ever done. You want to try to not gack the plastic casing to the Game Genie up too much. Actually had to go back with the knife here and remove a little bit more of the tab because it just hadn't fully pulled out with the needle nose pliers. Went back over and cleaned some of the dust and debris away with a microfiber cloth. It was tricky to put back together. I actually had to figure out how to put it back together before I came back and I filmed this part here. If you're looking at the cartridge slot, or if you've gotten a good look at the cartridge slot, a little downside to using the Game Genie is that if you have any Super Famicom games that use an expansion chip, like Star Fox, you won't be able to play it because the Game Genie actually does not support the extra pins on the sides that the enhancement chips have. I want to think Star Fox was actually called something different overseas. I just can't remember what it was. Once you've finally fit everything back together, it's time to put the screws back in. Ready to go. You'll need to put the game in first because the Game Genie actually locks them down with the little groove in the front of the cartridges. The green light is off on the Game Genie because the cheats are not activated. You can just press start to skip this. And look at what we've got, a Super Famicom game working on a Super Nintendo. One interesting fact about Super Metroid here is that the game is exactly the same as the US version of the game. You can select English or Japanese text and then play through the game. For some silly reason I selected Japanese.